Entry 1. I've decided to keep this journal until I'm saved. Today's Monday, 25th of August, 2014. I'm currently stationed on the USS Kentucky as a Navy seaman, or I was, as the ship is sunk. I don't know the reason why it went under. My officer gave me duty below deck. As I was doing a quick inventory of the supplies in one of the storage rooms, there was a loud crash of some kind, and the ship shook violently. I was trapped under a closet that fell over during the crash, and the door closed itself, the automatic locks activating. Being trapped under a closet, in all honesty, I was slightly panicking with the alarms going off. Wasn't how I imagined my morning going. I knew being stationed on the ship was bad news since I received the orders. From what I heard, the champagne bottle didn't break during the christening, which it means bad luck. No amount of successful missions could have convinced me otherwise, and I hate being right. The crash happened a few hours ago, but the ship's going down fast. I haven't been able to unlock the doors from this side, so for now I'm trapped. Some of the flooding compartments have been closed off to prevent the sinking of the ship, but sadly for me, it did fuck all. It just means I'm well and truly trapped here. Luckily, there's enough food and water to last me a few weeks. I hope, at least. In all honesty, the main reason why I'm writing this down on some scraps of paper is to keep myself calm. If I start to panic, I'm only going to waste oxygen, and there is no way I have enough to use all the food and water here if I hyperventilate. Entry 2. I managed to find a flashlight and a few batteries, so at least I can see my metallic prison. There's no way the military isn't looking for me right now. The captain must have sent out a distress signal, or it happened automatically, and they're on their way to save me as I'm writing this. But as the ship is sinking deeper and deeper, and the loud groaning of the metal around me isn't giving me any hope that it'll be an easy operation for them, for now all I can do is wait. Of course, I tried banging on the walls and the doors to get some measure of attention, but I guess they were also panicking and didn't hear me or something. They will notice that I'm not there during the head count. They have to. Maybe the captain even brought a radio to the escape boat. I'll be out of here before I know it. Enough writing for now. With so little happening, there isn't much to write about. Maybe I can write a book about this, become famous like that guy whose hand got stuck in that cliff. Entry 3. Damn, I need to figure out how to keep track of time down here. Some things happen, but it's hard to get a frame of reference. The ship has taken on more water and is fucking falling towards the bottom of the goddamn North Atlantic. I'm still trying not to panic, but with the water around me, it's slowly becoming darker and darker, so it's not the easiest thing in the world to manage right now. It's not pitch black out when I look through my window. It's hard to see out far. If I were to guess, I'd say the ship is about 2,000 to 2,500 feet deep. There's still some sunlight coming through, but it's not nearly enough for me to see. The ship is still creaking. If my little steel room is damaged at all, the water will enter and I'll be fucked. I'm praying that doesn't happen. Entry 4. Must have been a day by now, right? I heard another loud crash, what I'm guessing was a few hours ago. It's hard to know just how long with the sunlight completely gone from this depth. Either that or it is nighttime. The adrenaline has kept me up for so long, but with that comes the hunger. I've eaten way too much of my supplies already, although on the bright side I've managed to keep myself calm the entire time in order to preserve as much air as I can. Knowing a plethora of breathing exercises are actually helpful. Who knew? I have absolutely no idea how long I can last with what I have, and I can't exactly try to open the door either. Can't know the situation on the other side of the door at all, so I only have the air in the room right now. Just hope the rescue mission is on their way already. It's quiet down here. Entry 8. Fuck, this is maddening. Waiting down here is boring. You'd think that'd be the least of my concerns, but I feel like I've been down here for days. No changes, no sound. I've even begun talking to myself just to hear something, other than the creaking of what's presumably left of the hull. I must have counted inventory 100 times by now. I found some flares and thought about using them to start a fire, but it would just waste the precious oxygen in here. Although some time has passed, I'm not feeling lightheaded. I keep movement to a minimum and the cabin is completely dry. There is, however, a problem of the cold. You see, with no sunlight coming down here to warm the water, it has definitely been a few days at this point, so I must be below the level where the light can reach me. My cabin has become increasingly cold. I found some blankets and I'm using them to keep myself warm. I might need to resort to using flares if this keeps up. No point in saving oxygen if I freeze to death down here. The rescue's still coming, right? Entry 10. Yet another problem to add to my increasingly big pile of shit. Literally this time, where am I supposed to piss and shit? I can't even go to the goddamn bathroom. I chose a random corner in my cell, which began tilting afterwards due to some fucking oceanic current or something. So the shit smear has spread nicely around the goddamn room. On top of that, the can I was using to piss in also fell right the fuck over. This place smells. I feel gross. For fuck's sake, guys. Come here and fucking rescue me. I'll do close to anything at this point. Entry 13. Please, guys. Please come soon. I can't stand it here anymore. One of the pipes began leaking and it hasn't stopped. There's a constant dripping now. I feel like Loki when Odin finally had enough of his shit and punished him by chaining him underneath a snake so it could drip poison on his bitch ass. There are only two differences. Firstly, I don't have a wife to catch the drops and make it stop. Make the noise stop. And two, I'm innocent. I did nothing to deserve being down here. What did I do? Tell me and I'll stop. Just let me out of this watery prison. There's just drip, drip, drip. I'm losing my fucking mind. It's been going on for days and I haven't been able to sleep at all. It's cold. I'm miserable. There's nothing to do except writing, but there's nothing to write about. Entry 15. I don't think they're coming anymore. I only have a few sets of batteries left for my flashlight, which I've been using extremely sparingly lately. I found the box and it said the flashlight should last about 55 to 60 hours on low, which is what I've been using. Doing the math in my head with some pretty heavy guesswork as well, I came to the conclusion that I've been down here for nearly 2.5 weeks, give or take a day. There's still plenty of food, water, and I think oxygen, but what if they don't find me? What am I holding on for? I feel lonely out here. Back on the ship, I used to love staring at the night sky on the deck. The stars above and the ocean on all sides gives off a feeling of immense loneliness, but it's a feeling you welcome. If you're on a ship always surrounded by people, constantly in communication with them, the nights on the deck, they were amazing. Up north here, you can even see the aurora borealis in winter. Though that was some months ago. Now I miss the constant chatter. The people surrounding you are good ways of distracting you from how truly quiet the ocean actually is. Sure, when you wanted to sleep back on the ship, you'd complain about the sounds of waves hitting the hull or the wind rushing outside, but compared to the people, it may as well not exist. Now I'm here, alone. The only sounds I hear, the currents hitting my prison, but that's easily drowned out by the dripping. The goddamn dripping. It's driving me mad. Entry 18. Who knows where I am? I can't have drifted too far as I sank, and I haven't heard too many sounds that might indicate movement. The pipe is still dripping with water. The amount of dry floor space I have left is shrinking day by day. I fear that the hole is going to rip at some point and flood the entire room with that freezing water. I made a fire by lighting some wood from the crates with a flare to keep myself somewhat warm. It doesn't do much, but It is enough to make for some relative comfort, if only I could sleep. The constant dripping sound is keeping me awake most of the time. I feel like I haven't slept in days. My only fear is that I run out of oxygen really soon if I keep the fire going. I'll only use it for when the cold is too much to bear. Entry 19. A sound. I hear a sound. It was some clicking noises that sounded like the Geiger counter you hear in Fallout games. I don't know what it was, but at least I'm not alone. I actually forgot what it's like to hear something aside from the dripping and the sounds I make. It sounded far away, but the creature must have been huge. Maybe a whale of some kind. I'm not alone. That's the most important thing here. You couldn't possibly imagine what it's like to hear nothing but your own heartbeat and a constant dripping. What makes it worse is the feeling of being alone. So alone, in fact, that I've begun speaking to the dripping sound. Even gave it a fucking name. Mr. Drip. I feel like that man from Castaway, but at least he had a light. I'm fucked. Mr. Drip is an asshole who doesn't know when to shut up. Entry 22. Whoever said, stare at the abyss and the abyss will stare back has never truly had to stare at one. They say that fear of the dark isn't actually a fear of the dark, but instead fear of what is inside that darkness. Let me tell you, I have been staring at the darkness outside of my little window for days, trying to look for any sign of life since I heard those noises a few days ago. I don't know what to expect, but I welcome anything at this point. The Norse used to have stories about the Kraken. On old maps they used to say, "Here be dragons," when referring to the middle of the open ocean and other uncharted territories. Even the Bible talks about Leviathan in the Old Testament. I'm not asking for any mythological creature or legend, but I'd like something. For all I know, there are fishes, sharks, squids, or any other type of sea creature a few feet away from my only portal into the darkness outside of my cabin. And exactly due to that darkness, I can't see what in the abyss is staring back at me. I'm no longer afraid of what can be inside the darkness. I'm afraid that there's nothing. Entry 23. The dripping sound is speeding up. In addition, the metal surrounding me keeps groaning under the stress. I fear I don't have long before I run out of supplies or will be crushed by the sea. I've had nothing but time here to think about what would be a worse way to go. On one hand, you have wasting away, my body slowly losing all its strength to the point where I can't do anything anymore, except think about food, water, or sleep. In reality, it wouldn't be that different from what I'm currently doing. On the other hand, there is drowning, or dying of the pressure. I really have no idea what would kill me first if there were to be a small entrance to the cold outside. At least I imagine if it was the pressure, it'd be fast. I mean, it's the same as dying in space, right? Except the opposite, kind of. Like an implosion, maybe. Drowning, though, that would be horrible. The feeling of needing to breathe, but only getting more and more water stuck in your lungs. Must be painful beyond description. Thinking about this made me realize there truly is no way out of here. At least, I'd like to get it over with quickly. Entry 27. At some point in this, one cannot help but conclude that rescue is no longer coming. I've suffered enough for a lifetime, and if there is a hell, it can't be any worse than this. I am Samuel Rodriguez, 24 years old, from Tampa, Florida. I joined the U.S. Navy back in 2012 to pay for college. Never once did I expect to be sent to the North Atlantic, and even less so than to have that ship sink and leave me stranded at the bottom of the fucking ocean for over 4 weeks. Alone. That's the best way to describe my predicament. The ocean truly makes you feel alone and helpless. We aren't meant to traverse the ocean, much less be underneath the waves. I was never afraid of the water or the sea. When I was a boy, my father took me out, sailing more times than I can count, and I was always a good swimmer. But if I make it out of this alive, I swear I'll never touch the sea again in my life. I'm done with it. The sea, the ocean, they can fuck off. Aside from my immediate family, I won't be missed. I had a few friends, sure, but nothing close. Didn't have a girl back home either. Went on a date with one, though, before I left for the Big Blue. But I didn't even like her. I just didn't want to be alone. In hindsight, I should have listened to my mom and got a trade job. It would have been boring, maybe, but at least I didn't have to go into debt or die at the bottom of the goddamn ocean to pay my fucking law degree. If these notes are ever found, let my parents Carlos and Linda Rodriguez know that I love them, and that I'm proud to be their son. I know they did their best for me, and for that, I cannot be more grateful. Entry 28. I've been thinking. It's been a few hours since my last entry, and I'm writing this by the fire. I've narrowed down what caused the ship's crash in the first place to either a drift ice or a sea quake. If it is the former, then it's just a huge fucking cliche. Has my life really come down to an extra in Titanic? I'm afraid so. Unless I forgot to write it down, there weren't any aftershocks, so a seaquake seems unlikely. Maybe seaquakes don't have aftershocks like earthquakes do. Shouldn't be that different. It's hard to tell from up there. All I remember clearly was a crashing sound, the ship rocking, and the alarms going off. I've thought about those minutes millions of times over the past few weeks. Storms aren't that uncommon in the North Atlantic either. Maybe it was that. It's always cloudy and misty, and the wind here is non-stop. Or at least there. I can't believe I even started missing that cold. Me and my mates on the ship always used to complain about it. Entry 29. Food is running low and water ran out just yesterday. I've been using the fire to try to boil the seawater and make it drinkable, but it doesn't work. I'm thirsty. It well and truly is the end of the road for me. Air is also getting thinner. The ocean makes everyone powerless, it seems. But I want to go out on my own terms. And I still have the box cutter I used to open the boxes. I will place these notes in a container along with my dog tags. If they are ever found, please give them to my parents, but I am not counting on it. I will just die, a useless death, miles under the sea in the pitch black darkness of the fucking ocean. I hate this place, and I can't believe this is the end for me. We aren't made to be out here. At least in the forest or the desert, you can still move, you can still see and hear and think of something to survive longer than this. People have been living in those places for millennia. Out here, though, they said the Vikings were the first to sail to America on relatively small ships compared to what Columbus used. I can't imagine how they did it, let alone survive one storm in those ships. They say the ocean is the biggest graveyard on the planet for a reason, and I cannot agree with those people more. Some scientists would kill for the opportunity to study the life around me. But for as far as I can tell, there isn't any. I should have stayed back home in Tampa. I miss my friends and family. I miss going sailing with my dad and the dumb arguments I'd have with my mom. I miss how my uncle would drop by whenever he pleased to get some coffee and then move on with his day like usual. This isn't the type of loneliness you can get out there, in the world. It's something I cannot fully describe using my notes, no matter how you would try to simulate it up there. It wouldn't be the same. It's not something I'd wish upon my worst enemy. This is it, my final act of defiance against all of this. I may not have been in control during any of this, but I survived out here by my own means and I'll die by them. Goodbye, Samuel Rodriguez.